is dead.
Rest in peace.
It's October. Postseason baseball is back.
Yeah.
Woo! Can you feel it? Can you feel it? That little just smells different. The air smells different in October when you get there.
It smells like bonus baseball.
Yeah, it smells like baseball that maybe some of us are more excited for it than others. I'm actually pretty excited. I spent last night or parts of last night watching there was a 3-hour YouTube video of like all the highlights from all the postseason games. Like you can pick a year and do that. Just going back and experiencing the crowds. I feel like that's just something like in the moment. It just feels different. Like I've talked about it. I talked about it on Name Redacted about how like if you grow up celebrating Christmas, when you celebrate Christmas and the holiday season comes, there's just something different in the air. There's a different energy. And as an adult, it went from Christmas to playoff baseball, where you get to October and it's just like the air feels different. The environment feels different. And even though Dallas, Jay, our teams are not going to be represented this postseason, Jake, I still get that giddy feeling. It's just, it obviously feels different when your team is in it, but I'm still giddy for the postseason.
Well, it's because this time of year, baseball excluded, has its own sort of scent, right? But because that's the case, and baseball and postseason baseball is associated with this time of year, you associate those sounds, the smells. Baseball has a heartbeat because of that. And that's what this time of year represents. And I'm glad you acknowledge the fact that we're not, there's a few of us here that aren't going to be excited, terribly excited about the postseason. We're excited about what we're going to see, but our teams are not going to be there. So, Jared, how's your Jake? How's your guys' postseason, or how's your guys' offseason going? Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's just not. I don't know. I got the post game or the end of season press conference, the annual end of season press conference. That's today, so I'm gonna take that in. I don't know. I feel like my season ended like a month and a half ago. It's the Red Sox. Dallas, yours ended after like 3 days after opening day. Jay, I don't know when you became emotionally detached from the Cleveland Guardians this season.
A couple years ago.
I think it was after that first Lucas Giolito start, after they acquired him, where he wasn't going to push them to the playoffs. No, my enthusiasm for the postseason has almost nothing to do with whether they're in it or not at this point. I'm pumped. I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
I'm fine being the high man on this podcast for postseason enthusiasm, if that's what it takes. Because
I'm the most pumped, actually.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. Joe basically like he's playing like the Mega Millions, but like the odds to win are 30%. It's like pretty good position to be in right now if you're Joey. But yeah, I'm not down. It's a balance. That's what life is about, balances. And I've got my Red Sox side of things where, there's transition happening. And then I've got my baseball fan side of things where I'm excited for postseason baseball to start.
I mean, that's fair because I'm essentially in that same boat. So I'm excited about what the postseason brings.
Different kind of transition, I think,
No, I mean, hey, there's a shifting in the roster, Jared. Yeah. We're getting young talent up. I mean, yesterday with maybe the exception of one guy in the lineup and or out of the lineup, the A's, I think, gave you a pretty good look at what they feel like could be a potential opening day lineup next year. So for me, watching that and seeing how those young players have performed and progressed over these last few months, that's something exciting. So to your point about the Red Sox and where they're at.
You
trying
can't
to figure
say
out
that. You can't call them that. You're an A's.
I have an accent. I don't know why you're so hung up on
I'm
this.
putting my foot down. We're not talking about either of those two teams right now.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Thank you, Jay. I'm with you,
You're
Jay.
welcome.
I don't want to fucking talk about those two teams right now. It's
Well,
not.
I'm sorry.
Hey,
Maybe your future's a little bleaker than I thought. I was trying to shine some light
Your future
on what
is
you
an
got going
abomination.
on.
We're not talking about it. We're not talking about it. The playoffs start tomorrow, Tuesday. We had quite the weekend to finish out the regular season. Before we kind of break down the field, I think I'm not going to hide from it. I'm not going to hide from it. I'm not going to sit here and act like I wasn't on the Rangers bandwagon from the start. I'm not going to sit here and act like I basically guaranteed a division title. And you know what? Maybe it should have been that way. But here's Alex.
People were wondering what it was going to be like if the Stros didn't win the division. I guess we'll never know.
I mean, like they get to talk their shit. They can talk all the shit that they want. Like the Astros, it's the predictable outcome. Like if this were WWE, they gave us a finish that all the fans were like, "Oh, really? Like, we wanted the twist. We got the finish that was obvious."
2, kick out what? And then you know how it ends.
Yeah.
You know how it ends. That's why I said, and I'm glad, you know what, Jared? If you're not going to run from being on the Rangers bandwagon, then I'm not going to run from letting you know that it was going to be the Astros the entire time.
Yeah.
I won't run from that either. If you're going to be stand up and accountable for that, I think it's my job to be stand up and accountable for the fact that I told you that this division was going to run through Houston, whether we liked it or not. There were reasons, once again, to be really excited about it. And I told you 2 months ago that this AL West division race was going to be the division race, the race period to watch down the stretch. And it lived up to the billing 1,000%. It was determined on the last day of the season. You can't ask for anything better.
I don't love the two teams can finish with the same record and one wins the division and one doesn't. I don't like that.
Well, I mean, how's it supposed to go? How else are you supposed to do it? I love that because
1978, the game 163 Red Sox Yankees is one of the most like the not Billy Buckner, the fucking what's the fucking asshole's name?
Billy Martin?
No. Fucking Bucky Dent.
Bucky
Dent. That was the Bucky Dent game. That was a game 163. But I get it. Whatever. Head-to-head records, they matter, and the Houston Astros won the division, even though they didn't have a better record than the Texas Rangers. It is what it is. It's
take care of business in the division. Take care of business in the division. Well, that's why those games are so important.
I agree, and there's fewer of them now, so they mean more.
Even more important.
Yep. There was some criticism about the celebration gate between the Astros and the Rangers when they clinched playoff spots, and the Astros just did a toast, whereas the Rangers were popping bottles. I think that, you could take pictures and moments from either one of those. I mean, people are saying, oh, they partied too hard the night before, and then they went out and lost. They got smoked, and then the Astros won their game against the depleted D-backs lineup where they were seeing it was an opener, and it was a spring training lineup, things of that nature. I'm not making excuses. But those things do need to be noted.
Well, I mean, are you saying that the Astros downplayed it because they knew they had business to handle? Well, let's start with the champagne popping / just toasting.
Well, I think
because I think it's more of a look.
The Astros are not going to pop bottles for a postseason berth. They're going to pop bottles for winning the division because that's the expectation. They've been there and done that, whereas the Rangers have not been there and done that.
Yeah, but I mean that. I don't know how much of that you can blame. I mean, it really all depends on what they were like. Yeah, sure. Like ultimately, are you going to bed in a with the rest of recovery that you'd like to if you think you're playing for a division game after you've just celebrated just a postseason berth? No, probably not. That could be a thing. Just unfortunate that the Houston Astros, I guess, are in a position where they don't look at things through the same lens that the Rangers do. Their excitement about just being there isn't the same.
No.
And it was very, very clear. And then when they were able to, they just needed things to play out the way they did, right? They took care of business to the extent that they could, won the game that they needed to, and were just hoping that everything else was going to fall into place.
Yeah.
And it did.
I mean, it's also crazy that you go from being a 2 seed to a 5 seed now, with the team that has the same record as you and the same division as you. So now the path is obviously the Astros have that wild card bye, so they will play the winner of Toronto and Minnesota, whereas now Texas has to play in the wild card round against the Tampa Bay Rays in Tampa, because Tampa finished ahead of them in the wild card, so that they don't have home field. And the winner of that plays the number 1 seed Baltimore Orioles. So that is now their path through the American League. And again, they could, there is a world where the Astros and Rangers could see each other in the American League Championship Series. That is a possibility. Do we see that being the collision course, or is it just two ships passing in the night? They had their chance during the regular season. That's where they settled their beef. We won't see them play each other again this year.
Oh, man. That's so tough to think about because of you just don't know what those two games are going to look like, or those two series are going to look like. The Rays Rangers.
Yeah.
I feel like there's no telling how that plays out.
Oh, I think I know what happens.
Joe.
And it's not good for put the cowboy song on. Actually, it's like mute it, because I don't think they're gonna beat the Rays.
You don't think they're getting past Tampa?
The Tampa Bay Rays, I mean, they've been waiting for them, like these are the calculator brains, and they've had a bye week, and they've just been able to do calculations for 2 weeks, knowing that they're going to play one of 3 teams. They probably got all the calculations set for each team. They lined up perfectly. They got all their pitchers lined up perfectly to take down the Rangers.
I think that's the only thing that scares me or creates any apprehension is the Rangers pitching.
That's a pretty big part, though.
Yeah.
What's that?
That's a big part.
It's the Rangers relief pitching.
Correct. Yeah.
Specifically.
Their bullpen is fucking butt cheeks.
But you got it, dude, and we know this, and I hate.
How confident are we about getting to the bullpen at this point? Even.
Thank you. That's why the bullpen is the issue. That's why the bullpen is the issue, is because you're going to get exposed early, and that happens in the postseason. That's why Andrew Miller, and he will always be used as like the example of how you turn yourself into a hero by what he did in the postseason, how he was used, how he answered the bell. And that is just an example of how quickly somebody will be leaned on during the postseason if they're performing. And if it's multiple guys, you think that the skipper's not going to those guys sooner rather than later if they're throwing up goose eggs and they're in tight spots and they're getting productive, it's going to happen. So just getting to the bullpen, though, can be a problem.
I mean, how many pitchers are you confident on in the Rangers who are capable of starting a postseason game right now to get you 5 quality innings?
Oh,
1?
Maybe, yeah.
Jordan Montgomery? Maybe.
Yeah. Well,
Evaldi hasn't had a good start, let alone a good long start, since July 18th.
Yeah, I just don't know. I mean,
that happened to be against Tampa. If you want a silver lining, 6
like
scoreless.
It almost feels like, and Jay, hey, this is where it almost feels like you could start to entertain taking. I mean, are we going to use Jordan Montgomery game 1, and then from there, whether it's in Evaldi, whether it's in Evaldi or Dunning or Evaldi and Heaney combination, like just trying to figure out if we can use 2 guys to get bulk, and then we go to a bullpen game. Like that's why I'm really intrigued as to how the Texas Rangers approach this. For all of everything we just laid out. Tough to get to a bullpen that is shaky. So how are you even going to get it to the guys that you can depend on if you don't think you can cover 5 innings? We're asking for 15 outs out of a starting pitcher. And those are precious outs come the postseason. Those sound like really easy outs to account for in May, not in October. Just not the case. And if you've got those other guys in the bullpen that are seeing important outs early and often, and they're not getting the job done, then what direction do you go?
Yeah, though, I mean, the Rangers have been using their pitchers really weird. Like Heaney hasn't really been starting. They didn't get him out of the bullpen. So has been Martin Perez as well. So it's kind of like their bullpen sucks ass, but then their starters. And that Eovaldi stat, I wasn't aware of that. That's really, I didn't know it was that bad. But
yeah,
if he's not gonna be on his shit, yeah, they're gonna have to get some magic juju going.
And Dunning just had to pitch yesterday. He's your game 3 starter too. They needed him for 3 1/3 or whatever it was yesterday. And just like I know we brought it up before, but like since July 30th, the Rays are tied for the best team in the AL and the second best team in baseball. So they're record-wise, they're closer to how they started the season than that malaise they got into in the middle of the year. Like this might be, at this point, it might be a much better team than the Rangers. I think that's a possibility. They won, 10 more games during the regular season, and have been playing a lot better over the last 2 months as well. So,
and it almost gives you the sense that with their hot start, this is a club that, hey, when it's fresh and it's early and things are kind of even, they hit the ground running and they focus and there's major intent behind what they're doing. And then they got out to such a big lead. They were like, you know what? Yeah, looks like we're going to downshift for a while. Wasn't as important. And they're like, I think we can cruise to October. What do you guys say? And then towards the end, they're like, oh, you know what? We should probably think about grabbing 3rd gear, maybe 4th gear, kicking it into gear at the right time.
They probably should have won the division then if that was their attitude. But nevertheless, I still think Joey's right. Anything can happen in these short series, of course. But if we're actually making picks right now, I would go with the Rays as well. I feel like we've seen this series before, just with different names.
Didn't they? They played each other in the postseason before, right? Didn't Michael Young? I remember Michael Young hit a home run to dead center in Tampa in a playoff game. Am I making that up?
No, they've played it before in the postseason. It was it was 20. They played back-to-back years in 2010 and 2011.
I was going to say Matt Garza. Was that off Matt Garza?
I don't know. I just remember Michael Young off the back wall in Tampa.
In 2010, it took 5 games in the division series. In 2011, Rangers won 3-1.
Yeah,
Neftali Feliz. Save.
Yeah.
Shuts the door.
Yeah. All right. So Jay Hayes going Tampa. Joseph, you're going Tampa?
Yeah, I've got to go Tampa.
Dallas?
Oh, man. And yeah, I'm probably going Tampa, man. Yeah. I know you just like the song. I know you just like the music. You just like to wear the hat. Don't do it.
Cowboy. Cowboy.
The pick is in. The pick is in. I don't even think Tampa wins a game. I don't even think Tampa wins a game. It's gonna be them Rangers, boy. You kidding me? Doesn't matter if we go through the wild card, the division, if we gotta go to that piece of shit Tropicana Field. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We got Young. We got Adolis. You don't believe in us, Dallas? Aren't you a Texas Tech Raider? You never bought into that Texas Rangers lore that we got down here? Arlington, Texas. Shit, JFK Museum. You never seen it? Lee Harvey Oswald, Jack Ruby. You don't believe in it?
And I'm headed out west, sucker, because I wanna
Dallas
be
is
a
a
This is
sucker.
this is the least confident you've ever been.
No, it's not. No, it's
Jack
not.
Ruby.
Wyatt Earp,
Yeah.
Johnny Ringo.
Tell you right, you guys are gonna look so fucking stupid at the end. I'm the only one that went the Rangers. That's crazy. That's crazy. Shout out to Connor who does our social. He's probably the second biggest Texas Rangers fan next to me. We're doing it. That's gonna be an easy series, Jake. Mark that one down. That's the Rangers. I didn't even know that we were going into series breakdowns. Things are heating up at the ballpark. Yeah, that just kind of happened out of nowhere. Every team is playing to finish the season strong and make it to the playoffs. With DraftKings Sportsbook, you won't miss a moment of baseball action. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on baseball. Plus, all customers can take a crack at a sweet payday with DraftKings same-game parlays. String together multiple bets from a single game or for your shot at a major payout. So what are you waiting for? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code JARED, Jared. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on baseball only on the DraftKings Sportsbook with the promo code JARED. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelplinema.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after insurance, opt-in, and 10-plus leg requirement for 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. Just as a reminder, we are going to be in Atlanta this weekend. Atlanta wheels up Friday, coming back Tuesday. So that puts us there for games 1 and 2. Jake, which one are we going to? Which one is there going to be like a watch party type deal?
Going to game 1, watch party for game 2.
Do we know where?
It is live at the Battery, Atlanta.
Where's that?
It's in the Battery. Right next to the stadium.
It's next to the stadium.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Watch party live at the Battery in Atlanta. That's what it's called?
Yeah, we'll have some stuff go on social for it too.
All right, cool. All right. So we'll be at game 1. I've already been in touch with Blooper. I don't know what that means.
You can't talk, dude. Stop lying.
Blooper tweets.
That's not bloop, dude.
That's not Bloop.
That's a fake bloop.
I don't.
That's some social media intern.
That's Bloop.
No,
That's real Bloop.
No.
Bloop tweets.
I've seen Pawn at that tweet box himself.
Why don't we go back and forth? Why don't we go AL, NL, AL, NL here? And the Arizona Diamondbacks are back in the postseason as the third wild card. I mean, the Chicago Cubs, if we could just say a couple words about the Chicago Cubs down the stretch, absolutely shit the bed. They shit the bed.
Tough.
Yeah. Yeah, that was very surprising to me. I thought for sure they were
You
built.
picked them for World Series. You said
I did not.
these guys are built for the World Series. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Chicago Cubs. I remember
You
saying
had
that.
Justin Steele winning the Cy Young.
That wouldn't have been a terrible pick.
Hey, when Stroman comes back, hoo-wee.
They shit the bed. It was right in front of them. They had it. It was right in front of them. They shit the bed. Arizona Diamondbacks get in on the third wild card spot against the division-winning Milwaukee Brewers. What a fucking game 1 matchup between Corbin Burns and Brandon Fat.
Wow. Clean it up.
That's his name.
I don't know how to say. I don't know how to say
It's
it.
Fat.
Jay does.
It's Fat.
This is Jay Hayes' guy, man. The Diamondbacks probably wish they had Mad Bum back, don't they? Was that a mistake?
Was that a mistake?
Because, dude, playoff Mad Bum right now, like, might be.
Look, I can appreciate that. I don't think, Joey. I don't think it works that way though. Like I don't.
Have
think
you seen his playoff numbers?
That was also crazy that he just disappeared. Like no one even took a waiver on him.
No. Well, yeah. I mean, look, if you could, if it was just a matter of getting a guy to the postseason and then he just turns into who he's been, who his career numbers then absolutely.
That had to have been his decision. There's no way Dallas Keuchel is still getting starts in the big leagues and Madison Bumgarner can't.
I mean,
I
don't know if it's there just wasn't much that you were getting from Madison Bumgarner.
Same thing with Dallas Keuchel. I'm just talking about like the team interest aspect of it. I'm not arguing against him being cooked or not, but if Dallas Keuchel is still getting trotted out there and he's been one of the worst starting pitchers of the last 4 years, then and he's been on in what 8 different organizations.
Poor Dallas Keuchel, man. He's just listening to the D-backs Brewers preview, and he's like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, fucking strays.
Keuchel's been all right, man. Keuchel's doing his thing.
No.
This, I'll call it. This is the easiest series we're going to predict all day.
You think
I'm going Brewers.
You think
the Brew Crew?
Even with the Brewers offense being what it is,
yeah, I don't think the D-backs offense is not substantially better, not meaningfully better than the Brewers offense. It's also not very good, middle of the pack at best in the NL. The Brewers offense has been better lately, substantially better over the last month and a half. And I think basically they do everything else better than the D-backs. They have much better starting pitching.
Way better defense.
Well, and like the Brewers, as Passan pointed out, have probably the best defense in Major League Baseball. They rank, first in outs above average, second in defensive runs saved. If you're more traditional, they also rank first in defensive efficiency, which is just the rate that you turn batted balls into outs. The D-backs rank decently in some of these, or very well in some of these metrics also, but the Brewers are just better. They have much better starting pitching, and more meaningfully, their starting pitching is lined up. They have Corbin Burns, they have Woodruff and Peralta ready to go, whereas the Diamondbacks simply do not. Zach Gowen and Merrill Kelly may very well pitch in this series, or at least one of them will, but they are not lined up to pitch in game one, which I think matters.
Definitely.
I'm going to take the Brewers.
True or false? The Milwaukee Brewers have the best pitching staff out of any postseason team.
I think it is rounded out back into that. I remember talking about a podcast, and I think it was relative to the Cubs and Justin Steele's ascension at some point, like a month or so ago, where that didn't feel as secure as it had in the past. And I think the last month of the season has totally refocused that conversation. Brandon Woodruff has been awesome. Freddie Peralta looks a lot more like the Freddie Peralta that was, the third wheel of that dominant trio a couple of seasons ago than he did at the beginning of the year. I think it's absolutely true.
What about the Twins?
I think the Twins are just a lesser version of these guys. I know they've got the swing and miss, but there's no way you can convince me that you are as confident in Pablo Lopez, Sonny Gray, and Joe Ryan as you are about these three.
I take the Blue Jays staff before I take the Twins staff.
Yeah, and I'm not even meaning to like throw shade at the Twins staff, because I do think that's probably their path to winning series this postseason. I just don't think it's on the level of, maybe it's like 85% of what the Brewers are bringing. And as Passan also pointed out, the Brewers still have that elite bullpen as well.
That's the thing,
first
getting
first
the ball.
in
Yes.
Yeah, first in the NL and second in baseball and relief pitcher ERA. So I'll lay out, but I'm taking the Brewers for sure.
Yeah, no, that's my pick. I'm rolling with the pitching.
Dude, the Diamondbacks got decent pitching too. Let's not what's the word?
Well, to Jay
Be
Hayes'
fucking
point,
assholes to the
but to Jay Hayes'
like,
point, they're
come on.
not lined up for the series. So it's like they might have like a Zach
They'll pitch.
Gallen.
Well, I mean,
not-
lined
pitch
up,
2 and
lined
3.
up, lined up means what? One of those guys is starting game one. If they're, I mean, it's not like you're guaranteed
Brandon
a third
Pfaadt is
game.
going to start game one. And
Yeah,
then
they didn't want a dude with a 7 ERA starting game one of their playoff series.
And you know what? Who would? Right? Who would? But the idea that, like, I don't know, like the phrasing of lined up, I think is different if we're talking maybe even a 5-game series. But the idea that one of the two was going to pitch, I mean, you would love to have both of those guys pitching. You would love to have it, where they're starting games 1 and 2. You had to get there, though. You had,
But that's true. I don't want to overstate that, but the gap between Brandon Pfaadt and one of those guys pitching, or Brandon Pfaadt and even whatever Corbin Burns is this season, Corbin Burns, like, is pretty massive. And also,
you'd rather have
the Diamondbacks bullpen actually kind of stinks. And the Brewers bullpen is the best in the NL. So I think that's another separating factor too. It's not like it's just the fact that Brandon Pfaadt is starting game 1 and the Brewers have their rotation lined up. I know we talked about how the Brewers, like, can they get runs across the board in the postseason? And I have serious concerns about that, but against better teams. Like, I don't think the Diamondbacks are any better set up.
Are stifling their offense.
No, and I also don't think the Diamondbacks offense is any more equipped to get runs on the board in the postseason against the Brewers pitching in this case. Like, they averaged marginally more runs per game. They were 7th and 8th in the NL in runs per game. So
it's just unfortunate for the Diamondbacks that right now, Jay Hay, they're going to be facing probably what could be potentially their toughest path to the World Series based on what they're going to be getting from the mound. So they're going to have to conceivably beat the best guys on the mound that they're going to see all postseason right out of the gate. So really, if they're able to take care of business here, it could get easier from there. Not to say that it plays out that way, but on paper, this is about as tough as it gets for the Diamondbacks.
Is this the biggest, I don't want to call it a mismatch, but is this the biggest gap in talent between two teams or ability?
No way.
What's the biggest gap?
That'd be the Phillies and the Marlins, man.
Yeah, I think it's Phillies. I think it's between those two series for sure.
I don't know.
Hey, you're giving the Brewers way too much credit, especially since this offense is has nobody.
Yeah, the three-headed monster.
one.
The three-headed monster draws a lot of attention on the mound, and then from there,
And the bullpen, I think, but like all they need is like a poke here and a poke there, and it's not like they don't have guys that aren't capable of doing that.
They don't.
Yeah.
Everyone sucks on their team.
All
They don't. I mean, they don't suck. I mean, Yelich is good.
right, then pick the D-backs.
Contreras.
Pick the D-backs.
Contreras
Pick the D-backs.
is good, but I'm not ready to do that yet.
Oh, you're not ready to do it?
When you're telling me I'm not going to do it, I'm not ready to pick anyone yet.
Oh, you're not ready
so
to
when
pick
you're telling me
anybody.
to pick, I'm not ready to pick yet.
All right, well,
So I'm not going to pick.
Jay Hay made his
But
pick.
I will.
Jay Hay made his pick. Dallas, are you taking the Brewers?
Yeah, I'm brewing the crew.
Okay, same. Joey?
Hey, man. Listen, dude, we're going to ask Jake. Like, I'm not fucking ready. Like, we could do this all day.
Jake was only going to pick if the Red Sox were in the series. Jake, do you want to pick?
Nah, I'm all set.
Yeah, he's all set.
All right. Well, I'm the same way.
You're all set with Pickett?
Yeah, I'll pick the D-backs.
Wow, okay.
Because here's the thing, man. You put me on the spot.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
You're riding
right.
Corbin Carroll's coattails.
Yeah.
Corbin Carroll is a beast.
Mhm.
I mean, they got
Carroll,
a good
Carroll coattail rider.
They got Corbin Carroll and they got Cattell. No one ever talks about Cattell.
Yeah.
And this is a team that is facing another team that isn't that good at hitting. So, like, I think it's going to be close. I don't think it's that big of a mismatch. So, if I'm going to be the only guy, this is how I set myself apart. I'm going to pick the Diamondbacks because Jared's making me.
I mean, I respect the pick if you actually made it with your heart.
Doesn't sound like he was making it with his heart, though.
No, it feels like you got bullied into it.
It is 1,000% the case.
Yeah. Do you feel like you got bullied there, Joe?
I feel like I could beat your ass. I could beat Jay's ass, Dallas's ass, Jake's ass. So no one here is bullying me. I did it under my own accord, and I'm with the D-backs.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
I think Alec Thomas is the guy who really sets the tone. Game 1.
Okay. All right. So that is Three picks for the Brewers, 1 for the D-backs. Joe does not get bullied. Just doesn't do it. I respect
Joe
that.
will beat your ass.
Yeah.
If it came down to it, I'd have to defend myself.
Yeah. If you want tickets to that D-backs Brewers series, boy, do we have a promo code for you, because you shouldn't have to wait or worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you, with killer last-minute deals on all prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time guarantees and takes the guesswork out of buying tickets for anything. So if you're trying to go to any of these postseason games, man, stick around for the promo code, because it's going to help out big time. Trying to go to see some playoff baseball. See the view in your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show up with your total up front, so you know what you're getting. It's a great deal without any hidden fees. Buy the tickets in seconds with 2 taps. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event. And even an hour after it starts, it's the place to find last-minute seats. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. With zone deals, you pick the section and Game Time picks the seats for an average of 18% savings. And the Game Time guarantee means that you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And here's that promo code that we've been talking about. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the promo code Jared, Jared, and that'll get you $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use the promo code Jared for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed, and we will see you in the postseason. All right, back to the American League here. The Blue Jays, the 6th seed Blue Jays. Is that disappointing? Or are you just happy to get in at that point? Didn't I pick the Blue Jays to win the division this year? Did anyone else pick the Blue Jays to win the division this year?
I think I did.
No, we all picked the Rays, I feel like.
Is the 6th seed disappointing? No. They're in. They're just happy to be there. They're happy to get in at this point.
I mean, it was obvious they weren't going to win the division for a long time, so I think you just have to be happy at this point.
Yeah. Well, yes, and I mean, like, we thought the division was over in April because Tampa was going to win it, and then they didn't.
It didn't ever feel like it was going to be Toronto.
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
and
wow.
With the way that, what do you got?
Bobby Nightingale. I'm not going to hit the breaking news, but Bobby Nightingale just tweeted, MLB draws more than 70 million fans. The largest increase in 30 years. That's significant to me. Like when you have, the ratings are up. They're the largest TV number since 2021. It's like, okay, it's 2023. Like I'm not blown away by that. But yeah, the largest increase in attendance in 30 years. Like that goes before the fucking steroid era. That's impressive. And that's notable.
I believe there to be a direct correlation, a direct tie to Game Time.
Yeah. People aren't like, baseball? Like because look, 4 hours?
Think about the things that you measure on the way to determining whether or not you're going to go to a sporting event or something like that. How long does it take to get there? What's the traffic going to be like, right? Parking. Well, how long is the actual event? And blah, 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 blah. So where that ranks, I think matters. And fans were like, you know what? New product? Okay. Shaving 30 minutes off this damn thing? Okay. Let's see what we got. So you had a lot more people more than willing to come out, I think, with frequency to check out what the hullabaloo was all about.
Yeah.
Shorter games, more interleague play helps a lot.
Mm-hmm. The fans being able to
teams. Mm-hmm. Yeah, more teams in the hunt because the expanded playoffs helps a lot. All those things. And interleague play makes a way bigger difference than people realize. It's like I think a 7% increase in attendance every time there's interleague.
Right. And just so we don't need to go down this rabbit hole. Just want to remind people that's why the revenue sharing conversation is so important between the union and the owners. Just remember that. 30 years. It's been 30 years since we've had this many people in the stadiums, which means dollars. Baseball players knew this. The union knew this. So did the owners. That's why the conversation was what it was. So don't listen to people tell you that the game is dead, that the game is dying. We both knew, and by say both, I mean the players' union and the owners knew that that's just simply not the case. So a round of applause to everybody involved. Just keep that in mind. That's why the conversations every 5 years with the CBA and revenue sharing are what they are. You just saw a 30-year increase.
It used to annoy me how much Dallas would just suck Rob Manfred's dick dry, but now it makes sense. Like now I see it. Like the increase that's the biggest one in 30 years. All that blowing Rob Manfred by Dallas, it's finally making sense. I see the vision. I see the path. And I'm starting to see what he was talking about all along. That's your boy, right?
There you have it.
Dallas.
Come to Jesus, Jared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I'm happy for you. That's a big win for your camp. The Minnesota Twins versus the Toronto Blue Jays. This is a 3 seed versus a 6 seed. You have the AL Central Division winning Minnesota Twins versus the Toronto Blue Jays. By the way, the Blue Jays as the 6 seed have a better record than the division winning Twins. Just want to throw that out there.
Tough division, man. Tough division.
Real tough. I feel like this one it's not a sexy series for me. Mostly because it's not being played in Toronto. Like I love, like if this were a best of 3 in Toronto, I would be amped. But since it's in Minnesota, no disrespect to Minnesota fans, but you're just not Toronto. You're not an entire country. Like those playoff games in Toronto are very, very, very exciting.
I'll even say this: playing that game in the 6, I think I could blindfolded just go, yep, give me the Jays. Give me the Jays.
Yeah.
I would be more than willing to say that. More than willing. Now that it's in Minnesota, I'm not as committed to that, maybe. But look, if this lineup just is even a shade of what it can be for the Toronto Blue Jays, look the fuck out. Because they can bang. They just haven't. And there's been a few guys in the lineup that just haven't all year long. That's why when Jay Hay was talking about the Jays just being in the playoffs should be something that they should be happy about. I think with the absence, frankly, of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., comparatively speaking to what he's done in years past, they were like, I don't know how it's going. If he's not playing well, how are we going to go? If Matt Chapman isn't playing well, if Matt Chapman isn't swinging the bat well, how are we going to go? What's going on? So to be there, they're excited about that. But if they get hot, if this lineup starts to put the bat on the ball, that could be trouble. That could be problem.
Who are their game 1 started? Is going to be Gausman. Do they? No,
it's Gausman
he just
Lopez.
pitched, right? Gausman is going.
Lopez. Yeah.
Okay. So at least we have like a marquee matchup in game 1. I mean, as much as I like excitement on game 162, teams trying to scratch and claw their way into the postseason, then you understand that it comes at the cost of having like a nice marquee game 1 matchup. But that will be a fun one between the Jays and the Twins.
That actually is my appeal. That's why I find this series appealing, is because it feels to me like one of the few series, if not the only series in the wild card round
evenly
where
matched. Yeah,
it's very evenly matched, I think. And the rotations are both set up and healthy. Like we're not like Rangers Rays. It's like who is pitching for these teams? Like probably Glass now, but like, it's obviously not the Rays rotation that we saw at the beginning, but like, and then we just talked about Brewers Diamondbacks. To me, this is, you've got Gausman Lopez, Sonny Gray, you've got Joe Ryan, you've got Kikuchi, you've got the whole like thing lined up ready to go for both sides. And I don't know. That to me is appealing. It feels like a more traditional postseason series than some of the other ones that we're getting, I think.
And I think what it offers, Jay, is instead of like one team just being significantly better in one area than the other, or maybe in both areas, right? Like you hate to go into a series where you know that one team is just significantly greater in all facets of the game, or the majority of the facets of the game. This series has a chance to allow the team who plays the best brand of baseball to actually win the series, as opposed to a team who might not catch the ball but hit the big home run at the right time, or a team who might not pitch well but whose offense just bludgeons the other team and they just club their way to victory. So I think this series presents a great opportunity for baseball fans to watch really good, high-quality baseball played over a 2-3 game series. That is what I think this series offers.
With that being said, in terms of having full strength teams, the Twins, obviously they're pitching. That's their bread and butter. But they Gallo's been hurt. He might not play. Royce Lewis is a question mark. Carlos Correa, they don't even know if he's going to play. They're saying he's probably playing.
He's hurt he was supposed to be ready. Yeah, he's not great, but that was part of him. Like he didn't play in Minnesota against the A's, I don't believe, and that was all part of him like kind of resting.
So we're going to see Correa with 1 foot, and then Byron Buxton. I don't know, but like these are what's their whole lineup pretty much. At least anyone who's like a name.
I'm genuinely curious how much better the Blue Jays lineup is right now than the Twins lineup right now, because those guys missing is significant, being missing or less than full strength. But like, I'd like to see this Blue Jays lineup like actually perform up to the name brand of the people that are on it at the biggest stage, because I feel like this lineup is kind of coasting on like name and reputation at this point, because like Vlad, we talked about Vlad last podcast. Bo Bichette is fine. I don't think Bo Bichette can be the best offensive player on a championship team. And then everybody else presents some level of question offensively, particularly in a postseason setting, I think. So I'm just kind of curious to see them do it. I'm going to take the Blue Jays in the series, but it's not with a great deal of confidence.
That's why you need those other guys to be who they are, right? You need George Springer to be that threat at the top. You need Matt Chapman to be who he is deeper in that lineup, so that lineup has length to it. Otherwise, to your point, you're asking Bo Bichette to carry the load when you could probably get a lot of help from a few other spots. And if that's not coming, if you're not getting Vlad Jr. to support, I mean, that's where you start to see guys get pitched around, right? If you can attack Vlad because you're not fearing him, Bo, here, you can fucking suck on these slide pieces, homie. You're not going to get anything to hit.
And with all due respect to Chapman and Springer, who I think are the two, you nailed the two guys that we're talking about here. Like, George Springer was nowhere near the George Springer offensively that we have seen in the past. That followed a previous year of like partial decline as well. So he just may not be the same dude, even though we've seen some like legendary shit from George Springer in the postseason in particular over the years. And Matt Chapman, for as excited as we all got over his start and making fun of the A's, another former A just crushing it somewhere else, he basically ended up having the same offensive season that he always has, only with even fewer homers. Like, it's 755 OPS, 17 homers for Chapman this year. Like, these guys just aren't impact offensive players at this point. And if Vlad Jr. is not that guy, I think they're just as exposed offensively as the Twins are, because Joey's points are very real.
But what these guys like, let's look at it like this.
You got to read the Twins lineup right now.
I'm looking at it right now.
Those guys are gone.
I'm looking at it right now.
If you're gonna catch lightning in a bottle, though, which bottle are you taking out there with you? Which bottle can contain the lightning? The bottle that the Twins are offering you, or the bottle that the Blue Jays are offering you? Which bottle would you like?
I'd rather, obviously, the Blue Jays for me. I mean, if you look, they've scored more runs than the Blue Jays this year. That's a fact. The Twins,
not this lineup though that you're talking about.
Not this lineup.
This lineup that you're talking about. If you were trotting this lineup out for 162, you're probably not getting that same production. That's why, to your point, Joey, about these guys who have question marks over them, like the Correas, right? What happens if Gallo's not there and Royce Lewis can't play and Carlos Correa has his feet up? Then what are we looking at? Then what are we doing? No Byron Buxton? I mean, and think about what you would take him just in the lineup at DH at that point, right? Even though that's not where you would love to have him, you'd love to have him roaming around out in center field. That'd be fabulous. Not going to happen.
You got to account for Ryan Jeffers in there. And what about Alex Kirilloff? They could get a doubles. Edouard Julien.
Yo,
These aren't names. These don't excite you. This is not a lineup that excites you to win a playoff series.
Kirilloff's
against the best pitching staff in the league.
Kirilloff's OPS was 50 points higher than Matt Chapman's this year. That's just
don't give a crap,
Right,
dude. They
Joey,
turned the AC down in the dome or something, dude. It doesn't like.
I'm not afraid of him either, but like that doesn't mean that he's not just as good of an offensive player as Matt Chapman is, even though we haven't heard of him as much before. My point is that the
bet he isn't.
Matt Chapman hasn't done shit for like 5 months of the season.
But
I'm taking the Blue Jays. I just don't think we should pretend that this is like some vastly superior offense because I don't think it is.
No, I don't feel that way either. I think to your earlier point, it's probably the most evenly matched of the postseason series right now.
Then you know what you guys should do?
What?
Pick the Twins.
I'm considering it.
Rid the balls.
I'm considering it.
I'm not.
Also with the format, you play all the games in Minnesota. They do have the better run differential. I don't know. Pitching's a coin flip, right?
When do we? I mean, like you can put a disclaimer on it. I'll allow that.
What
if the Twins are healthy and you want to pick the Twins? Fair.
They're definitely not healthy. Depends like what level
you don't know
of
what
health.
that lineup's going to look like. You
have no idea.
I do not know what that lineup's going to look like. You could very well be surprised and have fucking Correa and Buxton smack dab in the middle of that bitch.
Well, my thought process here is in 2019, they had one of the best lineups of all time and didn't win a playoff game. No one.
Do they have the pitching to back it up? Do they have the pitching to back it up?
No one.
That was
is
one of the worst lineups of all time.
Yes, like
what could they do?
No one is considering the fucking Minnesota. Like they're not even factoring into anyone's thought process this October. Not at all. Which is why it makes sense that they might win. I might pick the Blue Jays, but I might pick the Twins to win a game. Like it's like a side prediction.
Okay. Yeah, that could be a problem. Could we have a Ranger situation where they win the first game, pop champagne because they broke the streak,
right?
And they're tied for 2 and 3,
right?
Because would anyone blame them?
No.
Yeah. Yep.
No.
Yes.
That's if you're going to make a prediction on this series, you have to predict who you think is going to win, and if it's Toronto, you have to predict whether or not the Twins are going to win a game.
Yo, I have some bad news for the Twins offense haters, by the way.
Oh, they have gingivitis.
Does anybody want to guess where the Minnesota Twins rank in runs per game since August 25th?
Third.
20.
Fun with random endpoints.
Third.
Right here.
Third.
Runs per game since August 1st?
August 25th.
6th.
August 25th?
25th. Clearly that date's important.
Number one.
First?
Number one in baseball. 6.18 runs per game. They've averaged more runs per game over those 34 games than the Braves, Astros, and Dodgers, who are next in line. Number one offense in
Shout
baseball.
out to the
for all
September
haters.
columns.
Damn, so you got them winning the whole thing then.
No, I am going to take him for this series, though. I'm going to accept Joey's challenge.
Wow.
And I'm going to take the Minnesota Twins to win this series against the Blue Jays.
Does it scare you that they had to play the Rockies, the Athletics, they faced the Angels, and they're
hot down the stretch.
the Cincinnati Reds, known for the worst pitching staff in the league.
I'm
White
taking the
Sox.
Blue Jays. So Jay Hayes on the Jays on the Twins.
Yep.
I am on the Jays.
Are you predicting them to win a game? Can they win a game?
It's Gausman and then who is it? Gausman then Bassett?
I don't know that they've announced the rest of it yet, which I think is a little bit interesting. It's not interesting that they haven't announced it. I am interested to see who starts those games.
I don't care. No, the Twins don't. Oh, fuck. Sonny Gray's going to pitch. Yeah,
Twins
probably
got
Jays.
good pitchers.
They do.
Jays in 3. Jays in 3. Twins win the Sonny Gray start.
I'm tempted to pick a Minnesota, the feel good story, the Cinderella story, Minnesota winning a game, just because they do have some.
And I'm
These
looking.
starters.
I'm being honest. I'm rolling with the Jays because I got boys there. I would love to see them there. I do think that we've talked
So
about.
you're
We don't need to say it again.
compromised. You're compromised.
Yeah, and I'm okay admitting that. I'm okay admitting that.
That's crazy. That's crazy that you.
Look, I got guys in Minnesota too. Like I
Tell
said,
Matt-
I
All
want
right, so
Sonny
then
Gray.
why
Tell
are
Matt
you picking
all I was
Toronto?
doing was telling the truth about his offensive production this year. It was nothing personal.
Okay, that's
I
fair.
got my boy Trapstick over there at third base. How am I supposed to pick the Twins when I got Chappie up there? You ever see that platinum glove, J.A.? That's platinum, brother. It goes from one platinum to the other side, Mario.
Finally, we've correctly identified the platinum glove winner. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
It is
Trapstick.
platinum.
Yeah.
It is platinum. I mean, look, is Paddock's on the postseason roster, right?
Yes.
Of course he was. Paddy Wagon.
Well, I don't know if they've announced the postseason roster, but he was on the roster. And how can you pick the Twins with fucking Trevor Plouffe? The guy hates us. Won't fucking talk to us. I know he's a cool guy. And
he hates YouTubers, Joe. And so he's like, no, look, dude, as long as you got that guy kicking around, I can't do it.
I mean, something's going on. I'd apologize, but at the same time, I gotta roll my Blue Jays because they just got better hitters, deep pitching stack. Because not only do they have they're like one of the only teams that actually have 5 starters.
Wait, we're dumb. We picked the teams, but we didn't say in how many games. Dallas just did it for the first time. So now we got to go back and pick team X in X amount in Y amount of games.
Well, it's either 2 or 3.
fine. Rays sweep, Brewers sweep, Twins in 3.
Rangers sweep. Brewers in 3.
Brewers sweep, Rays in 3, Jays in 3.
So you got the Twins winning the game.
Yeah. I got the Twins winning the game. Un Wagando.
You know what? I don't. I got Jays in 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not the year. It's not the year.
It's
not the year, dude.
Next year.
Next year is the year. This year is not the year. For whatever reason that is, I can't tell you. It's just not the year. Honestly, it's because Plouffe ducked us. That's why it's not the year. It's bad juju to do that.
You shouldn't do that.
He shouldn't do that.
I'm also picking a Toronto sweep here. I will say, I think the Rangers steal one. That game, the Rangers Rays goes 3. Diamondbacks, Brewers, Diamondbacks in 3. But this is a sweep. And I also think it's bullshit. It's not in a dome. This should be a dome series. I mean, these are 2 dome teams, but it's not in a dome.
I agree. Wow.
It might snow.
Shout out to my people in Minnesota. I see you.
I see you. Did you pick the Twins, Jay?
I did in 3.
He did.
Yeah, that makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't know that I love
He talked himself into that, Jared. Don't be.
He did.
He talked
mull
himself
over it.
into it, and enough shit talking from Joey convinced him that it was the move.
Yeah, because he was quick on the Brew Crew. Like, didn't even have to think about it.
Yeah, I'm fine representing the good people of Minnesota. The Twin Cities.
Minnesota, nice.
Minneapolis, St. Paul. Yep.
Shout out Plums. Shout out my man Bidsy and Plums. Minnesota, nice.
One of the better airports in the country, you would have to say.
Fair.
Have I been to Minnesota? I don't know that I've been to Minnesota. I don't think so. Never been.
You'd know, bro. You'd know.
It's
not a place it's not a place you forget.
Okay.
No.
Blue Moon's a beer that you don't forget.
Fact.
Yummy.
Yeah. Even under the bright lights of the playoffs, Blue Moon Belgian style wheat ale is the beer that's made brighter Blue Moon was born in a ballpark for baseball fans, first brewed at Coors Field in Denver, Colorado. From its bold, refreshing flavor to its beautiful, bright color, Blue Moon is as iconic as America's pastime. Dallas, how many cases of Blue Moon do you have ready to go for tomorrow night?
Currently 3.
Thanks for the invite, by the way.
It'd be a long walk for you, but
Yeah. With its refreshing
I don't know
flavor.
if that Purgatory Hell Kitten's going to make it over.
Oh, with Valencia orange peel for a subtle sweetness and hints of coriander. Blue Moon Belgian style wheat ale is a one-of-a-kind beer that's made brighter. It's carefully crafted and full-flavored with refreshing notes and a smooth, creamy finish. Blue Moon was brewed by baseball, so it's the perfect match for the playoffs. The crack of a bat, the pour, the first sip of that bold flavor. Blue Moon always feels like a special occasion. Best served with its signature orange garnish to showcase its beautiful bright color. A beer this good only comes around once in a blue moon, but you can enjoy it all through the playoffs. Brighten up the baseball playoffs with Blue Moon Belgian style wheat ale. It's a one of a kind every time. Check out shop.bluemoonbrewingcompany.com for fresh baseball merch and visit get.bluemoonbeer.com/rocket to find Blue Moon delivery options. That is get.bluemoonbeer.com/rocket. Blue Moon, made brighter, celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado Ale. There were people on the Baseball is Dead Reddit page. They were asking if we were going to do postseason streams. I said, sure. I mean, I don't want to do them for every fucking game. That was kind of,
the wild card day?
Yeah. What do we do? Like 12-hour streams?
No, what about the first day? Wasn't that like a fucking 14-hour stream?
It was the most preposterous stream. I have no interest in doing that ever again for the rest of my life.
I spent 3 hours on a rubber.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, I think we should probably, we're all going to be by our TVs watching. I think we should just kind of be on standby. Like if it's, the 7th inning and it's 3-3, if it's like a big situation and we want to pop in, I have no interest in streaming for an entire game because then we also have to podcast after the games. I'm not trying to talk for 15 hours.
Yeah,
I'd be down. I'd do it in my sleep, but yeah, Jared doesn't want to. So
yeah, no, I don't. I really don't.
But everyone listening, that's kind of the cloth I'm cut from.
Yeah, we'd love to work. Jared, not a big fan of that. So gonna have to find your stream somewhere else.
Yeah. I'll do a little I'll do a situational stream for sure. Little sitchy stream.
Yeah, maybe me and Joe will go IG live, just roll up the sleeves, kind of grind it out.
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, go on IG. That's very selfish. Yeah, grow the YouTube channel by going on IG live. Yeah.
Well, that's what I meant was going on the YouTube.
Right.
Clearly.
Mm-hmm. Clearly.
With the YouTuber.
Right.
Yeah. Go on the YouTube channel called Jared Carabas without him.
Well,
I don't know if I have the password of that one.
Jake has it.
Interesting.
We'll iron that.
Yeah. Figure it out. There'll be some streams. The streams will happen. Just have to clean up that prostate. Next thing you know, smooth streaming. We got one more series to break down. It's in the National League. It's between the Philadelphia Phillies, Joe, and the Miami Marlins. Why did it have to be this matchup? Why couldn't it have been like the Phils?
No.
And the D-back.
Look. I would have been okay with this.
What?
If things looked just a little different on the mound. If things looked just a little different on the mound, I would be okay with this. Would we not? Healthy Sandy? No, I'm not saying that what you got from Sandy this year was anything that you were excited about, but if Sandy's making a start, postseason, wipe the slate clean, competitive juices, yada, 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 all the things that you think would be able to get you past a toughly digested regular season from Sandy and Yuri. These two guys healthy. No interest.
No, I mean
that would be interesting.
I would be much more interested. Yes, the two
because I believe
the two most interesting pitchers are not pitching for the Marlins. Period.
Right, and I think that almost kind of turns it into a bloodbath. As much as I love me some El Problema.
Wow. A bloodbath, he says. You give him no shot.
I don't know how much of a shot. I mean, if they're gonna have one, they're gonna need to win the Luzardo start.
And we all know he's damaged goods from Oakland.
I don't know if that's the case. I think it's
do
probably
think
a lot better than that. A lot better than that.
I wanted to ride the Marlins wave, but I refused to pick against the Phils in the first round. Won't do it.
I mean, if anyone could do it, don't you think it could be the Marlins, man? They kind of are. Like you said, they are, use the word, wave. Yeah. They're wavy.
They are
Don't
wavy.
be mad at us.
They
that shit. Don't be mad at us. When was the last time the Marlins went to the playoffs and played in a 3-game series? Start off the playoffs.
2020.
That would be 2020.
Yeah.
And they beat the Cubs. When was the last time the Marlins went to the playoffs and didn't win a series?
Like in a full season? That's never happened, right?
It's never happened in the history of baseball. Full season, short season, extra.
As long as
season.
they've gone, they're winning.
They're in the playoffs. They win.
They be dubbing.
Does that mean they're going to win this time?
I feel like you don't have the balls to pick the Marlins.
Better hope them fish sticks don't get overcooked, Joseph.
Joe's not picking the Marlins. He's capping right now. Dead ass.
Burger Bell.
Jake Berger being the World Series MVP is something that a lot of us are not prepared for right now emotionally.
It is kind of crazy though just to give a second shout out to Jesus Luzardo about how close he's actually made like the game one pitching matchup. Like you just sort of think of the Phillies and you're like, oh, they got that front two that's going to be better than most of the teams are trotting out in baseball. And like Jesus Luzardo wasn't as good as Zach Wheeler was this year, but he was like really, really close.
Thank you.
Really, really close. And he was better.
Are you going to
than
put some respect on it?
He was Aaron Nola. He was better than Aaron Nola straight up this year. So like, I'm definitely not taking the Marlins because I think there is a significant gap in the quality of offense here, which is not breaking any news.
No,
but
Jay, hey, they're running their lines right now on MLB. 32 starts for Luzardo, 10-9, 3.63 ERA, 178 2/3 innings, 208 punch-outs. He'll be facing Wheeler, who in his 32 starts went 13-6 with a 3.61 ERA in 192 innings pitched, and he punched out 212. So he had 4 more strikeouts than Luzardo did in over 15 innings.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically like
Luzardo did.
Yeah, it's like 2 to 3 more starts worth of pitching, but the quality was basically the exact same.
That's Wheeler.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's less about this series and the Marlins and more just giving Luzardo a little bit of a tip of the cap. I'm taking the Phillies.
I like that.
I'm taking the Phillies.
There's a lot of like with this team from Florida, man. Listen,
here we go.
When was the last time the team only played 161 games and made the playoffs? Does anybody know? I wouldn't expect you guys to know.
It's never
happened. It happened in 2021, the Atlanta Braves, and they won the World's fucking series.
It's a good stat.
Wow.
Obviously, the Fish don't lose in the playoffs. They've only done it once in their history, I believe, and that was to the Braves. So, doesn't really count. Braves are goated. Anyway, on top of that, they seem like a team of destiny.
Well,
to at least win one game.
I'm not going to say I'm not going to say that. But Braxton Garrett probably had a better season than Aaron Nola too. If we're being real about this, I don't know that I like Braxton Garrett in a postseason start, but like, I know it's not Alcantara and Yuri Perez.
It's got to start somewhere, Jay Hay.
But
it's got to start
there
somewhere.
is more depth to this Marlins rotation, and not just like hypothetical, like guys who went out and threw, like Luzardo and Braxton Garrett threw like 300 combined innings this season between the two of them with like a 3.5 ERA. Like there's real production and real talent here. I struggle to see how they score, really. It's a bad offense. It's been a bad offense. Arias, hot first 2 months really didn't change the basic nature of this offense. And
look, the bullpen, the bullpen down there for my money is volatile. I mean, they've got Nordy. What is that his name?
Oh, Andrew Nardi. Yeah.
Nardi.
Yeah.
Good. Puck at the back end. Scares me. I watched it live. I saw it. Well, I don't need to go down a rabbit hole with AJ Puck right now, but I just don't know that he's quite there yet. I don't think he's quite there yet.
And that's why you pick up a guy like David Robertson at the trade deadline, and you get him going in the back end of that bullpen, and now you're talking about a team that could beat the Phillies in one game. And it's just like, this is a team that we saw them coming in the year. They got a Cy Young pitcher, doesn't pitch good at all, then gets hurt. Okay, we can write them off. Okay, they have their best player who is hitting 400. He gets hurt in the most important stretch of the season. Probably not going to make the playoffs. They still push through. Jazz Chisholm, MVP candidate, self-proclaimed.
Self-proclaimed.
He misses most of the season, and somehow this team makes the playoffs. It's wavy.
It would also be a lot better for the rest of the postseason rounds and the conversations we're going to have about those if fucking Bryce Harper's team and the Philadelphia Phillies advanced and not this dreck.
Listen, Jay.
No.
Such a hater.
I am my first female GM, and this is what you do.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
That's a good point.
Wow, you hate Kim Ng?
It's crazy.
I did not have you hating Kim Ng. That's a hell of a hill.
Oh man, you guys couldn't even name half the lineup of this team if pressed right now without looking.
I know they got Joey Wendell. Last time he made the playoffs, took a underdog team on his back, Tampa Bay Rays, to the World Series.
Hell of a ball player, Joey Wendell, by the way.
I love him. No BGs. Love Joey Wendell.
Last time we had a no BG star in the playoffs,
he put BGs on.
Yep, but when he had him off, didn't he win MVP? Didn't he win MVP of the World Series?
No, Carlos or Mr. Pena did.
It doesn't matter because he took his team to the World Series and won it without batting gloves. And now they got a no BGs guy on the fish. I mean, they have all these little things, these recipes to have a team make some noise. So I think they will win the first game of the series.
Okay. How has no one mentioned Jorge Soler yet?
There you go. When was the last time he made the playoffs?
When he was causing havoc in Houston.
He actually won the World Series MVP. You're right, Jared.
And balls over train tracks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a Bobby Dynamite.
Yeah. Is anyone picking the Marlins?
I picked them to win the first game.
Right. You picked them to win the first game. I need you to pick them and win the series. You won't do it?
Joey has said that there's not a team in Major League history that's been more geared up to win one game in a 3-game series than the Miami Marlins.
It is going to be weird to see that they're going to turn the cameras on, primetime playoff game, and at the bank, everyone's getting pumped, and then they go to the field, and it's the fucking Marlins. You're like, what the fuck is going on right now? You know, the big playoff atmosphere, and it's just the stupid fucking
that is so
Marlins.
True. That is so true.
I got to retool my soundboard for all the teams that are in the playoffs, their home run songs. You got
homework.
I do. I got to do it today. Playoffs start tomorrow. What's the playoff schedule, Jake? When are we doing a podcast again?
At the conclusion of the wild card series. So that's either going to be Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay.
And we could do streams if any of them get close.
So we're going to do that at night?
At night.
I mean, what if we got 4 series? What if there's 2 series that are done early? Any interest in covering those 2 first?
We could split it into 2 and 2. The plan was if any of them go to game 3, then we just record them all after game 3. But
gotcha.
Yeah, we're playing it by ear, Dallas. Christ almighty. This guy just wants to fucking be streaming and podcasting for the next fucking 72 straight hours.
Fucking live for this shit.
Yeah. How much you can't stand your family that you want to just be away from them in front of a microphone and a camera for that long.
I was up at 5 a.m. away from my family this morning. Day 1 of the offseason.
Well, yeah. I mean, I did everyone make their picks on the Marlins Phillies series?
Yes.
Phillies in 3. Hard
Phil's.
fought series. They pull one out of that. They pull a rabbit out of a hat, man.
Philly
Scheme of
sweep.
destiny.
Philly sweep.
I think I also have to go Phillies sweep, unfortunately.
I'm gonna go Phillies in 3 just because for the same reason I'm going for
A lot of logic.
I want Luzardo's start to be a W.
Yeah, there's just never been a team in a better position to win one game at the best of 3.
Joey
Miami
makes
Marlins
a compelling argument.
Yeah.
The 2023 Marlins, the team most geared up to take one game in a wild card series.
Mm-hmm.
They got the pieces. They just need to put them together.
Yeah. So just for anyone that is trying to visualize this playoff bracket, if you haven't looked at it, the winner of Marlins Phillies goes on to play the Atlanta Braves. The winner of Brewers D-backs goes on to play the Dodgers. The winner of Blue Jays Twins goes on to play the Astros. And the winner of Rangers Rays goes on to play the Orioles. So that is how the playoffs are shaping up right now. You'll have the if necessary, all game 3s will be concluded by Thursday. There will be nothing on Friday. That'll be a travel day for us as we get boots on the ground in Atlanta. And then the division series starts on Saturday with the winner of Marlins Phillies versus the Braves. That's the first game? That's fucking bullshit, dude. Whatever.
Early.
Yeah.
Early.
I'm excited, though. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. So,
noon start. Let's go.
yeah. A couple other news and notes here. Buck Showalter. He's out. As the Mets.
Peace out, Mets.
Is this the right call?
This stinks. I don't care whether it's the right call. It's expected, but it stinks in my opinion. And I'll tell you why.
Go on.
It's expected because David Stearns is coming in and is going to make his own decisions and hire his own people. Fine. It's disappointing because Buck is from a generation of manager that is just fundamentally more entertaining than most of the managers that we see get hired today. And if I'm looking at it from a fan of all 30 teams perspective and not I need the Mets to win baseball games all the time perspective, although I think Buck is a net plus as a manager. I'm just interested in having people who provide interesting quotes, who have who are part of the fabric of the game, and who I think are just interesting storytellers and unique personalities and tacticians within the game. That to me is more interesting than the front office representative in the dugout version of manager that we see more and more over the last 10 or 15 years. So I don't think it's not a surprise. It is disappointing to me, though.
Yeah, because I think ultimately the characters of baseball that reveal themselves somehow, some way, always tend to find the leniency within the game when it comes to either, arguing, just the showmanship of whether it's in the pregame scrum, postgame scrum, and press conference, whatever it is, that the answer is going to have substance to some degree. And to your point about being a net positive in the dugout, I do think while that still is probably true, there's probably that the gap between him and others has maybe closed a bit in terms of where he's at analytically. I know he appreciates it. I do understand that there's still a desire to have a feel and where that ranks in priority to baseball men like the great Buck Showalter. So it sucks to think that baseball would exist without Buck a part of it in some way. I don't think that will be the case. I don't think Buck Showalter is gone forever. He's just no longer the manager.
And just one other point too, there's also something Shakespearean or tragic about Buck Showalter's career too. And there was just I don't have any personal relationship with him. I got to hear him tell a few stories while he was at ESPN, but didn't have a relationship. But the fact that he came so close so many times, or was the manager before the guy who ultimately took the team to the promised land. It's tough, just like for everybody who doesn't remember, like he was the manager of the Yankees right before Joe Torre through 1995, right before they became a dynasty. He was the manager of the D-backs through 2000, right before Unit and Schilling in 2001, Luis Gonzalez and the World Series. He was the Rangers less so, but then he was the manager of the Orioles. And while nobody followed him and won, those teams were pretty damn good, and won a lot of games during that stretch and were, if not regular World Series contenders, and certainly postseason contenders. And the Mets won 101 games last year. Just kind of, I don't know if he's going to get another managerial job. I think it takes the right fit for Buck to come in, but baseball personality, character.
Mm-hmm.
Good news for the Mets, though. They're probably going to win the World Series next year.
Good call.
Or the next 2 years.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It sucks because I also agree that Buck Showalter, to me, will always have a place in a major league dugout. I don't care what the analytics movement says, or just even kind of like this trend of younger managers that are able to relate to the players because they're not that far removed from their playing days. Because like even like Buck, he might be from the old school, cut from that cloth, but I feel like his vibe and the way that he interacts with the players is not old school. Like he doesn't remind me. He's not Earl Weaver, like it's just
no. I mean, there's an old school foundation to it, but he has done a wonderful job of evolving with the game.
Like Bomel is on the older side, but he is able to gel with younger players. Like that is not something that every old school manager or a manager that's been around for a long time, like Bruce Bochy came back and now he's managing a team that's going to the postseason.
Look, I'm not, how much I love Bomel. Think about the stuff that's going on in San Diego, though, right now. And like I said about Buck and, maybe the gap closing a little on him and the relationship with analytics and whatever. It's not to say that you're not tested. I think Bomel was tested greatly this season dealing with what he had to deal with in that clubhouse.
Yeah. But that was like kind of my central point is, same thing with the Bomel situation is the same thing with the Buck situation. I don't think that the Padres failed because of Bob Melvin. I don't think that the Mets failed because of Buck Showalter.
No.
You can say, yeah, like we're going in a different direction organizationally. And because of that, we need someone else leading the way in the clubhouse. Fine. But I think most managerial firings are looked at as, all right, we got rid of the problem. That should fix it, and we should start winning now. But I don't think that that's the case in New York with Buck. I don't think that would be the case if we don't see Bob Melvin back in the Padres clubhouse. Certain thing, it can just be like a bad fit, I guess. But I certainly hope that Buck Showalter is back in a big league dugout. If not next year, then sometime really soon.
Echoed.
Yeah. Do you think he will be? Do you think he will be? It almost has to be like the perfect fit, right? Like,
I honestly look, there's been a vacancy in San Francisco with the Gabe Kapler departure. You look around, there's opportunity for movement. I'll say that.
I also was thinking of San Francisco, but I feel like has to be a situation where they are invested. Not that they haven't tried, but instead of just being in the conversation for the superstar signing or trade or whatever, like actually land it. That is something that they have not been able to do.
I think it's less than 50-50.
That he manages next year?
Or again.
Yep. Ooh.
He's not getting any younger. Simply put.
Yeah, he's not.
He's 67 years old.
I mean, Tony La Russa fucking managed.
Understood, but that was basically like
that was
nepotism without being related. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
I think that proved to be a bad idea for everybody, including
so?
Tony La Russa. Yeah. I mean, that did nothing for Tony La Russa's like legacy.
No.
No. I mean, it's,
no,
it's
it definitely
fine
did
with
something. It definitely did something to his legacy, but
Yeah,
not.
nothing positive for his legacy.
No.
Nothing for it.
No.
All right, we got to take a break and talk about Zyn nicotine pouches. We're always talking about what a team needs to get to number one, but Zyn nicotine pouches are already there. Zyn has helped millions of people achieve lasting change, earning the title of America's number one nicotine pouch. If you're a smoker or you're a dipper looking to make a change, look no further than Zyn. Zyn is made with 6 simple ingredients and is available in a wide range of varieties, including spearmint, citrus, and even coffee. And it's available in 2 strengths so you can control your nicotine satisfaction. Because it's discreet, you can enjoy it anywhere, anytime, so you never have to miss a moment of the game. Plus, every can of Zyn earns you points towards premium items like tailgating gear, top-of-the-line tech, Zyn swag, even gift cards. Find your Zyn at your local convenience store or online at Zyn.com. That's Zyn, ZYN.com. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Gabe Kapler's out in San Francisco. Why? Let me ask you this, Dallas. Why fire a guy with 2 days to go in the season? Why not just wait until the season's over? What's the point of that?
Because maybe there's a real idea that you're entertaining on whether or not somebody in your immediate circle could be a candidate, could be an option. And let's see what that looks like. And whether
you're going to get an idea after 2 days?
No, but you have had an idea of how this person moves and operates, right? And you have a feel for who they are. And well, now let's see here, because when else would you do it, Jared? Would you like to start the season having no example? And I'm not telling you that this is the right decision, but if you're asking that question and you have 2 choices, one is your next manager you can see manage 2 baseball games, or your next manager you may not see manage a baseball game for you. You basically have to look at the past. What would you do?
I just don't know that I'm getting much out of 2 games when your team is out of it.
I'm not arguing that with you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. But I think that's just maybe a surface level reason. And it very well could be, look, we do this now so that it's not a move that gets made or is maybe perceived to have been made in haste right after the season ends, regular season is over, and then the playoffs pick up. And because now you've had a couple days of the regular season to go through and let the media cycle churn. The postseason cycle is getting ready to start churning, has already started churning. And so this is already a Monday morning conversation that feels like it's not really a Monday morning conversation anymore because it's already been a few days.
I mean, I actually heard from a lot of Giants fans on Twitter when I tweeted about it, which I didn't expect. And the overwhelming sentiment there was that this is a front office deflection move. And it's fine if Gabe Kapler was not the answer. I don't think none of them were like stumping for Gabe Kapler, like, it's a tragedy he's been let go, but it was more like this team really disappointed overall this season relative to their own internal expectations. Forget about what we thought about them. And it's been a far drop from that pretty fluky 101 win season.
107.
Yeah, which really set expectations way, way too high, I think. And that the responses were talking about how the front office is feeling a lot of local heat, and that Gabe Kapler is essentially the scapegoat. And that that whether or not that's true, I think that does make a lot of sense intuitively, given how I also saw a tweet where it was like, hey, what was Gabe Kapler supposed to do? It was like, you handed him a roster of misfit toys where his rotation had 2 people who could go 6 innings. I think Grant Brisbee tweeted this. 2 people who could go 6 innings, and a heart of the order of Michael Conforto, Jock Peterson, and Mitch Haniger. Like, good fucking luck. You know what I mean?
Well, Jay, and it's been the revolving door out in left field since Barry Bonds retired. You can start there. It was the inability to land a Carlos Correa. It was the inability to land a Aaron Judge type, right? And are we blaming Gabe Kapler for that? Gabe Kapler's not the one who told Correa to put the suit on. Gabe Kapler's not the one who had to tell Correa to take the suit off, that the press conference wasn't happening, right? Gabe Kapler may have been a guy that Aaron Judge was having dinner with when we saw that Aaron Judge video in San Francisco that he was hanging out for no reason whatsoever in San Francisco. What are you doing here, Aaron? Oh, nothing. Just checking out the bridges. I mean, Gabe Kapler didn't do that. So it does start to look like a front office deflection move. And I've got a ton of respect for Farhan Zaidi from our time in Oakland together. But to the point of not being able to field a competitive team outside of the 107 that got you super excited for a season, what do we know about front office and managers? We know that they typically come and go together. And if that isn't the case, the one that leaves usually ain't the GM.
Well, to me, there are a lot of parallels between the Farhan Zaidi regime and the Bloom regime in Boston in terms of like, it feels like a lot of like, what progress have we really made at the major league level? Right. And like, I understand where managers fit in the pecking order in the game of baseball in 2023. This team was never going to win anything substantial as constructed. And I really have to wonder like what the medium-term future is for this roster and for this team, because short of landing the superstar free agent where, hey, if they'd landed Judge, great. Turns out not landing Correa was probably a good deal for them. But like they need not only an injection of star level talent, but to me, they need some of the other stuff too. Like they have legitimate holes in their lineup still. I don't know. I think Zaidi said that this is and should be a desirable managerial spot. And I agree with that. But I think whoever takes the job is also inheriting an extremely difficult position where the expectations are postseason and the roster says not so fast. And the surrounding division says, well, you sure as ain't winning the division anytime soon with the Dodgers. So I hope you're okay with the wild card. And oh, by the way, you're probably entering next season behind the D-backs in that pecking order. And we'll see what the Padres go. You know what I mean? So like, you're kind of starting behind the 8 ball. I don't know. It seems like a desirable, but very undesirable situation right now.
Yeah, it's a great destination, but what have you seen over the past 4 or 5 years that have told you that you're going to be supported as a manager with a roster that's going to be competitive? That's the question. So if there's an understanding that there isn't quite that expectation year one, maybe this manager finds themselves in the position of the New York Mets new manager who, remember, they weren't really planning on being competitive next year and maybe a little more so the year after, but is that the same? So if we can understand that, then maybe year one is kind of a let's gather ourselves, let's get our footing. But this has got to be in my opinion, who's ever signing up here, this has got to be a minimum 3-year deal here. We've got to figure out if we can work together before we make that commitment. But that's the kind of homework that needs to be done right now for this particular franchise, who, if they're not careful, could screw around and find themselves maybe trying to polish a lot of that shine that the 10, 12, and 14 runs created for them, because there hasn't been much outside of the 107 out of nowhere since then.
I tweeted this kind of tongue in cheek, but I also am curious if there's any validity to it. Might the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes have an effect on who is selected as manager? Like if they're going to be a serious player for Shohei, and that's, I mean, talking to Passan on here, Shohei wants to be there for a long, long time. Are you going to have meetings with Shohei and be like, who do you want as your manager? Like, is that something that's going to happen?
I mean, think about this. That kind of scenario where the San Francisco Giants, where Larry Baer is getting on the phone and talking to Shohei's people and going, look, we're willing to give you whatever you need, whatever you would like. All right. So much so that we want to sign you up for that deal, whatever that means. Just consider that done. But we want you to help us pick our manager.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we're talking about here, where a player is courted in an effort to help bring a manager in, as opposed to a manager being signed up to help bring a player in. It almost feels like Ohtani could very well find himself in that position. I mean, that would be absolutely crazy, but it's really tough to think as a business operation that you could go to market without a CEO of sorts, because that's what the manager represents in the baseball world when you're talking to these players is, who's the boss? Who am I working with daily, right?
You tell
Who's the
us.
one that's going to be helping me out here? Like, who is this guy?
Like Ipe is the manager of the San Francisco Giants.
Right? Like, they just start pulling a Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis. Like, dude, any blood relative you have that needs a job, we will find a roster spot for him. It doesn't matter. What's he want to do? Does he want to pitch? Fuck, sign him up. Come on. We got the 8th inning covered.
I'm all in on the theory that Shohei thinks that Gabe Kapler is a geek. And it's just like, hey, before I even hit free agency, fire that fucking guy. Like, if you even want a meeting, fire him. Done.
You think Shohei gets a call from the Giants and he's like, is Kapler still there? Call me when he's gone.
Yeah.
Ipe hands him the next phone. Who is it? It's the Mets. Is Buck still there? Call me when he's gone.
Yeah.
So they're like, all right, he's gone. Get Ipe on the horn.
Yeah,
Let's get this done.
I love to just picture Ipe being the what's his name? Albert? Who's
Kapler's doppelganger?
No. Who's Batman's like right hand man? It's Albert, right?
Robin.
No.
No, Albert is like the butler man.
Yeah.
Is it Albert? I don't think it's Albert.
I think it is.
No, it's
I don't
Alfred.
think it's Albert.
It's Alfred.
Alfred.
Albert, idiot.
Jay thought it was too, and he's the smartest.
I came
guy
up
on
with the right
podcast.
answer anyway.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Alfred.
I was right first though, because I knew it wasn't Alfred or Albert.
See, you
Right
don't even
back,
know.
I said it.
No, but you just platinum gloved me is what you did.
Anytime that you just beat something into someone's brain where they believe it, that's called getting platinum gloved.
Yeah, you got platinum glove.
What else was on here? No, I guess the last thing I wanted to at least give you guys the opportunity, if you so choose, to comment on Tim Wakefield. I know we're gonna do like a whole episode about that on Name Redacted, but if there were any thoughts that you guys had on Tim Wakefield.
Jay, I don't know if you had the opportunity to meet him or to ever work with him or encounter him.
No, unfortunately.
Jake, I don't know if you had an opportunity to meet him or not. But yeah, well, I mean, Wakefield, I was just there. Jake, I'm sure you're going to talk about it on the other pod. You and I will probably talk about it on our Red Sox podcast as well. But we were just there in July. And look, I don't have Tim Wakefield's phone number. We never had dinner together, but the what everybody wants you to know about him, what everybody wants you to remember and take away from him, is how much of a physical representative of an organization. If you could have a mascot of an organization be just like a human being, that's what Tim Wakefield was, and how much it meant for him to physically wear a Boston Red Sox jersey, what it meant to him to just be on the field. All of the things that I'm trying to say have been said much better and with much more depth and feeling behind them by his teammates. But in my experience with him at the ballpark, in years past and in these recent years back traveling with the team, just not a fucking nicer dude. Not a nicer dude, not a more genuine exchange you're going to have like in that moment with somebody than with Tim Wakefield. And you can just tell, people get excited to to see old players. And for whatever reason, there's moments like I can remember just loving the idea of Tim Wakefield. Like, this dude is so good at what he does with one pitch. He's got a lifetime $1 million contract just waiting for him. Like, just that. You know how fucking cool that is? Like, you just $1 million every year to play baseball, dude, because you throw a fucking Tiny Dancer just busting the Elton John all over these fools. It's just, my heart is with Red Sox Nation, man, because I know what it's like to have a legend like that be a part of your realm. We had it with Vida Blue, and we just lost Vida. So I know what that's like for fans who have grown up with Timmy on the mound, man. So my heart is with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, very well said, Dallas. I think like sometimes, if there's like a public figure or someone that passes, and then there's a lot of cliches that get thrown out there. With Tim, it was all accurate. Like, he was that guy. Like, he is the standard. Like, Jason Varitek, I think, said it perfect after the game yesterday. Where if you want someone who exemplified what it meant to play for the Boston Red Sox, it was Tim Wakefield. I mean, the dude, like, he came here, he became a Bostonian, he still lived here, he married his wife Stacy, local girl. Like, he just became a part of the community. And there were so many stories and examples of things that he did for fans. Like, he wasn't married to just his own charity. If you had a cause, he was happy to help out, and he never wanted it broadcasted what he was doing. He did it because he wanted to help out. And it's been really cool seeing all of the stories from former teammates talking about him that obviously had this close personal relationship. And then even just people at Nesson. Because, I mean, I think TC, he covered basically his entire Red Sox career and then worked alongside him for over a decade after that at Nesson. So he got to see him in both phases of his professional life. But yeah, no, it was a very, very shocking day. I think, again, like we'll expand on it and do a whole thing on Name Redacted later, but I'm just glad that Tim is getting all the love that he deserves, and someone, like I said, that did so many things for people behind the scenes that no one ever knew about. I'm glad that that's all coming out now. Like, I'm glad that, like, hey, I have a Tim Wakefield story, and people are sharing all the things that he did when there were no cameras around or anything like that. So, again, we'll have more reaction on that later. But the playoffs are upon us. We will have a ton of coverage moving forward for the MLB postseason. We'll be with you probably still 3 times a week. And then once the World Series rolls around, we'll be doing an episode after every single World Series game. Stay tuned for that. Focus on our social channels, because if we do decide to just randomly go live, that's where you'll see that. Baseball is dead _ on Twitter is where we will post any links. And then I think people just fucking, how do people subscribe on YouTube, Jake? I don't know how that works.
When we tweet out the link for the stream, you'll be able to just see our YouTube channel and hit subscribe.
Yeah, hit subscribe. It helps.
How do you subscribe to a YouTube channel?
How do you subscribe to a YouTube channel?
Someone tell Jared we need.
Well, I don't know where to find the fucking YouTube channel. It's just like, it's my name, but it has both podcasts under the umbrella. So subscribe.
Search Jared's name.
Subscribe on the YouTube channel. We're trying to get to 100,000 subs by the end of the postseason. And all right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And we will see you after the couple game ones of the wild card round. Okay, bye.
Yeah, just wanted to apologize for that absolute ass beating the Dallas Cowboys put on the New England Patriots. You guys are god awful. We got